most out of it?
Well, I don't do that anymore, really. I mean, I work in conjunction with anybody that is taking one of my properties to do something with, or I end up writing it myself, like I did with Outcast. So I don't know. I mean, it's a little different than the earlier days when the Walking Dead series first started, and I was kind of entrusting that to Frank Darabont. But that seemed to work out. So I don't know. I always kind of think, did I get louder? I'm very sorry. I always think of the shows and whatever, and the source material as two completely separate things. I mean, it's not something that, it's definitely connected, but it doesn't affect the original work in my mind. And so that's why I'm always kind of pushing to change things and do new things with whatever I do, just because it doesn't affect the comics to me. So I'm not very precious about the work. I don't really, I want it to be good. I want it to be, something that's going to appeal to, the fans that made something cool enough to get adapted. But I'm not so precious that, that character has to say that exact line, and if they mess this up, I'm going to be very upset. Like, I like what other people bring to the table. I'm not so arrogant to think that, no one else could come in and do something and, make me look foolish for how I handled things. I actually like that. Angela Kang, for instance, our new showrunner on season 9, has got all kinds of really cool stuff cooking on the show, and, it's another one of those times where I'm going, oh, I didn't think of that. Well, that's fine. And it's great. It's really gratifying to see someone doing that. So I enjoy it.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. How you doing? This is kneeling for a while.
Hey.
I have a question. Do you plan on doing any feature-length films with any of the characters of The Walking Dead? And if I could suggest one, it would be Michonne.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know she was popular.
Only a little bit.
Yeah, I think that would certainly be a cool idea, but there are no plans for that currently. If we were doing something like that, it's not like I could announce it here. I mean, come on. But
well, you never know.
Thanks. It's a good idea.
Thank you.
We'll see.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm not going to ask you anything about Walking Dead, if you can tell by my T-shirt.
Right.
Viltrum Empire. But congratulations, first of all, with Amazon Prime and your animated Invincible series. I am definitely looking forward to that. Do you think that they're going to stay as close to that story as possible? And do you think that they're going to keep the brute violence that Ryan Ottley drew throughout that comic to keep people into it?
Yeah. It's going to be a very...
awesome.
It's not going to be like one of those mature cartoons where they're like, oh, look at all this crazy profanity that doesn't really need to be here, like that kind of thing. Right. But it is going to be as violent as the comic book series. And as far as staying close to the original story, I'm writing the pilot, and I'm working very closely with Simon Rapioca nice. To craft the series. And so it's going to be very different.
Awesome. Thank you.
Too short. Hi, first of all. I like your beard.
Thank you so much.
And I'm kind of asking this question just because
I have to be careful when I touch it because I'm worried things will fall out.
I'm asking this question because he's like my favorite character.
Oh, great.
But is Negan
I have lights shining in my eyes, so I'm like, it's like a vague, is it a Negan? Is that what we're looking at here?
Negan.
Okay, great.
Is Negan going to play like a bigger part in season 9 at all? I'm sorry, I'm like...
There's a trailer tomorrow. I'm sorry. There's, I don't know. Probably about the same, I think. I don't know. Did you feel like season 8 was lacking in your Negan?
I really didn't. I screamed in the movie theater when I saw the ending like that. My friend thought I was insane, so...
Oh, okay. Was she right?
Yes. My friends get annoyed with me because I talk about The Walking Dead so much.
Oh, that's terrible. You should talk about The Walking Dead more, I feel. I mean, in my opinion.
Confirmation from Robert Kirkman.
Yeah, so if any of your friends are out there, let her talk about The Walking Dead. What's wrong with you? Yeah. But I don't think you will be. I don't think you'll be missing Negan in season 9. There's plenty of Negan. Right. Jeffrey Dean Morgan doing an amazing job. Yes. It's gonna be great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks for talking to us. So I have
just amazed by how prolific you are. Like, you can work on so many different projects at once. I loved Invincible. I just picked up the first issue of Stellar, which I understand you created the character for that.
Yep.
So I'm just
With
curious.
Mark Silvestri, but yeah.
So what is that like when you work on so many different things at once? How do you come up with all of these ideas and then keep them sort of compartmentalized in your process?
Well, it makes doing a coherent panel somewhat difficult. But I don't know. I mean, the go-to answer is like, oh, I love what I do, and so I'm just love working and blah blah blah. It's real stressful though. It's real nerve-wracking. I talked to other comic book writer buddies about it, about how it's kind of like a weird addiction. You know, like if I haven't come up with a new concept in a while, or I haven't like found a new collaborator and started on a new book, I start to get kind of twitchy, and it's a real problem. You know. Just to get depressing for a bit. But it's just something I absolutely love to do. And working on the other projects makes me more excited for the things I'm doing. So when I work on Oblivion Song or Die, 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 and I get back to Walking Dead, there's a newness to Walking Dead for me because I've been working on these other things for a day here or 2 days there, or however long it is, because I do end up jumping around quite a bit from week to week. And it really just forms like an overall tapestry in my head that, keeps me excited and engaged because, there are weeks sometimes where I get kind of tired and I don't know like what the next story is in a certain project, and I slow down for a little bit and I'm just like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? It's all going to come collapsing down. But then luckily, like, something will happen, and I'll have like an idea on one book, and then I'll be working on that, and I'll get excited about something else, and then it all kind of cascades into, a furious stream of, a bunch of different stories at the same time. I don't know. Is any of this making any sense? I apologize. But that's my life. I'm not great at conversations. I don't enjoy dinner parties. My wife constantly catches me like drifting off while she's talking to me, and she thinks I'm bored, but I'm actually just like writing a story where somebody cuts another guy's nose off or something, like in my head while she's telling me about her day. It's not fun, but she understands. We've been together for a while, but yeah, somehow it all works.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations with all the Amazon Prime stuff. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Obviously,
Please buy all of your things from Amazon and have them shipped to you. They make me say, hey, are they? Oh God, sorry.
responsible plug right there.
Yeah,
So,
they've got like a shocker thing on me if I don't. Sign up for Prime. Free same-day shipping or whatever it is. 2-day shipping, is that what it is?
nailed it. Yeah,
Great.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
With Invincible coming and you writing the pilot now,
All hail Bezos. Go ahead.
what scene or scenes are you really looking forward to being created with Invincible? Obviously, just huge iconic moments from that book, really early too. But which ones are you most excited to see?
I mean, the weird stuff is what excites me. I mean, I'm looking forward to, the trash bag landing in London and things like that. Stuff that like no one in this audience cares about. I mean, there's big epic stuff that every Invincible fan knows about that that I'm hoping to get to. There's weird stuff like I would love for this series to go long enough to get to the bulletproof like origin story from issue 97.
There you go.
I think that's a lot of fun. I just completely lost everyone. I'm very sorry. Hey, why don't you come after the panel and we'll talk about Invincible? Is that cool?
Deal. All right.
All right. But yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to have all kinds of fun stuff.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, I am loving Oblivion Song, the new book, and I'm wondering how long are we going to see that story go? And are we ever going to see those monsters on a TV screen? Because I love the monsters in it.
Well, it's entirely possible
Oh,
that maybe at some point you'll see some form of Oblivion Song in another medium. I can't talk about it yet.
excellent. Thank you.
Well, you guys asking me these questions, but as far as the length of the series goes,
Yeah, how long are we going to
yeah,
take that
Lorenzo
ride?
is already working on issue 14, so we're still well ahead of schedule.
Oh, wow.
We're going to continue monthly for a good long while. I mean, it's a finite story, but I'm not going to say how many issues it'll go, but it'll be around for a number of years. So yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's in Italy right now, just slaving away.
That's all he does.
Yeah, while I'm just making a fool of myself. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
I want to thank you for always being welcoming to fans and cordial to when people recognize you.
It's all an act.
Can you give us any funny stories of somebody, oh my God, it's Kirk, or like they freak out, or what happened? Was it really you, or you got confused?
I mean,
Not that it would happen.
okay, I'll give you two stories just because one of them delights me. But I have a friend named Tanner Johnson, who is a director on the DuckTales cartoon for a company you may not have heard of called Disney. And he is not a thin man, and he has a beard and blonde hair, and so he looks like a carbon copy of me, because every unthin person with a beard for some reason looks like me, which is really aggravating. Let me just be completely honest. My Twitter feed is littered with people going, "Hey, were you at a gas station in Ohio?" And I'm like, "No, I wasn't." And then there's a picture of a guy who looks terrible, just like a terrible looking human being. And it's just like a big, fat, chunky guy with a beard. And I'm like, I mean, I understand I only look at myself in the mirror from like the most flattering angle possible. And so I have like a really skewed self-image of what I actually look like. But, you know, come on. So that's every day for me. Were you in line at Baskin-Robbins in Toledo? I'm like, no. I can only think of cities in Ohio. But anyway, so that happens. But so it's been a running gag. I met Tanner through mutual friends who had constantly like talked, "Oh, this guy looks just like you, ha ha ha, it's funny." And he, at conventions, gets mistaken for me quite often. And so it's kind of a running gag in our friendship. And last year at this con, I was walking to the image booth, and the image booth is the epicenter of me getting recognized. So as I'm over there at the image Skybound booth, I should say, there's a big setup and everything. But as I get closer to that area, I get stopped more and more, and people seem to recognize me more. So, you know, it's normal, it happens. And I'm walking to the image booth, and this guy looks at me and goes, "Tanner?" and I stopped, and I looked at him, and I said, "Do you think I'm Tanner Johnson?" And he goes, "Oh, crap, are you Robert?" And I was like, "Yes, I am," but I made him take a photo with me, and then I texted it to Tanner and told him the story. So that was fun. But by far, I have to say, highlight of my convention this year, I mean, usually my highlight of the convention every year, I have this big Wednesday night dinner with a bunch of people. I'm not going to name them all, but you know, Rob Liefeld's there, a little bit of Jeff Loeb, some people. Matt Seinrich, one of the people that's there, and he's one of the co-creators of Robot Chicken, you don't know? And fantastic show. I hear it's going to go for like 400 seasons. But we were walking after dinner, and we stopped at a corner, and he goes, "Guys, hold on. Would you mind if I walked a block over?" And when he said, "Oh, you mind if I walk a block over?" in my head, I'm like, I gotta go meet this guy, I'm gonna go to this party, you know, it's Comic-Con, everybody's doing something. And then what comes out of his mouth is, "I'm gonna walk a block over and catch a Pokemon." So he was dead serious, and he walked away, and then showed up like 10 minutes later and was like, "Yeah, I got it." And I was just like, man, because you know, the dinner is all like industry people, and I was like, man, none of us are lame like that. Like, we all work in the business, we're all nerds, but we're not that kind of nerd. But I will be honest, it touched my cold black heart.
Okay, so out of everything that you've created, what's your favorite and why?
It's hard to pick a favorite. I mean, you know, they're like my children, but I don't know. I'm having trouble. For the Beastman special I did, I don't know. Space Ace, I did a Space Ace book. That I created. Capes, I'll just say capes. Is no one else lining up for questions? This is going to be the worst panel ever. I demand you go Polaris or Lady Joker or whatever your costume is. Lady Joker, I got it on the second try? No? All right, good.
You got it.
Hey, what's up?
I am going to talk about The Walking Dead because
That's fine.
it's fabulous.
Please do.
The part that I was a little confused on is that when we first meet Negan, Maggie is hugely pregnant and having problems. Either this is the longest running pregnancy ever, and she is not showing one little bit.
Yeah.
Or she went to some back alley abortion somewhere and there's a zombie kid running around. So I'm just trying to figure out.
It wasn't that. But, no, a lot of people don't know this, but the farm that Maggie is from is in a fictional area of Georgia that is actually on top of a crashed alien spaceship that crashed, about 10,000 years ago. And, a lot of people don't know that it's there, but the side effect of said crashed alien spaceship is that the women that live within the vicinity of that ship, they carry babies to term over the course of a 48-month period. It's a very rare condition that only happens within the Walking Dead universe.
So we do expect to see a baby at some point?
You would think, but you never know. I'm not going to spoil that for you. Yeah, all right, look, season 9 spoiler. Maggie finally has her baby. It's a baby with superpowers. She kind of uses it like a jetpack. So like when zombies come, she says, go baby go, and the baby jumps on her back, and then she kind of flies off with it. Yeah. The special effects team were a little upset because that's a hard thing to pull off in a weekly television show. So, but we were able to work with some good animators, and it looks pretty cool.
Hi, I'm Sylvia from San Diego. My question, any of your characters, all the characters you created, have you based any of them on yourself?
To a certain extent, I've based all of them on myself because I'm nothing if not lazy. No, not Negan. Like, as people are saying Negan, I'm literally nothing like Negan at all. But I don't cuss as much. But no, I mean, there's little pieces of me in characters. I mean, I used to work at I didn't deliver pizzas. I worked at a pizza place, and so when Glenn's like, oh, I used to work at a pizza place, that's just me going, oh, that's a job I know, like whatever. There's little snippets like that. The story of how Rick Grimes met Lori is the story of how my parents met. So, I'm just using stuff like that because, again, lazy. But yeah, there's nobody that's like directly, I have a very, again, I certainly see myself in a different light than I'm sure other people do, handsome. But, I don't know. I feel like that would be incredibly boring to try and base a character off of me, and, I don't know. So I don't do it. But the fun thing is living in the world and seeing other people's tics and also getting to know people and seeing like how their brain works and how they like think differently than you, and like, oh, they came to this conclusion when this happened, and then trying to construct that in a story is that's actually fun. So that's what I try to do.
Well, thank you.
So if you're ever hanging out with me and I'm like,
oh, sure, I will.
yeah, cool, you said that. That's neat. What are you doing? I'm just texting. It's no big deal. I'm like totally writing things down that you said, and I'm going to put it in a book later and get paid for it.
Yeah. Thank you. My son Corbin and husband Dwayne are going to be so jealous I'm here, and they're not.
Oh, good. Are you recording a video for him?
Yeah, for both of them.
What are their names?
Corbin and Dwayne.
Corbin and Dwayne, you stink. Why didn't you come? Making your mom come here all by herself? Dwayne's from Ohio? Well, I'm not a big fan of Ohio. Get the hell out of here. Ugh. Ugh.
Hello.
Hey.
I can't believe I'm in front of you right now.
It's really not that big a deal, I promise. I do this every year. There's at least like 80 people that ask questions at a panel. It's not that special. No, I'm just saying, like, I'm not, no one wants to talk to me mostly,
yeah.
But go ahead.
Well.
Trying to make it easier. This is going poorly. Now I'm nervous. Sorry.
I've been reading your comics. I believe I started in the first grade. I ignored all the bad parts.
That's a
Don't
double
worry.
insult because one, it's like you're old, and two, they're not supposed to be easily comprehended by first graders, but I'll take it.
So I don't know how many times you've been asked this question. So sorry if this is the bajillionth time.
No, it's fine.
But so I think I read somewhere that you tricked your publishers into The Walking Dead by lying about an alien arc.
Yeah, I did, and that's true. That's true.
I was wondering how that all went down when they found out that was a lie.
Well, by then the book was successful, so they were thrilled. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Some of you guys may have heard this story. Jim Valentino, by the way, publisher at Image at the time, absolutely hates when I tell this story because he feels like it makes it seem like they were making a mistake. And, you know, everybody's got that story about like, oh, this bonehead turned down this big successful thing, or this bonehead turned down this big successful thing. That's not what this story is. Jim is a very talented guy who, you know, kept Image afloat through some very trying times in the industry, brought in a lot of amazing titles, including mine. So, you know, to tell this story is not to say that Jim, you know, made a mistake or anything. Jim was absolutely right. I pitched The Walking Dead, and he said, yeah, there's no successful zombie books in this industry. Like, you need to have a hook. You know, your book has to be about something, which is, you know, really fundamental and was something that I didn't really do much of in my early days. So he's like, you know, you can't just do like a book where it's like the zombie apocalypse and people are surviving. Like, you need to have some kind of extra thing going on. And I just said, oh, well, yeah, I don't know, we got that. There's like an alien invasion, and the aliens are just using the zombies to weaken the world's infrastructure so they can take over, and we're going to reveal that like later on in the book. So it seems like it's this mundane, you know, zombie movie that never ends, boring thing, but it's really this like kick-ass sci-fi book that's going to really wow people later on. And he was like, oh, that sounds cool. So the book got approved, but I was lying. And I feel like it's his job. You know, it was his job at the time to make sure that you know, all the books at Image are on the best footing and have the best chance of success. And it was my job as a creator to do whatever I had to do to get my book published. You know, that's something that I really, you know, want to make sure that people are aware of. Like, you know, if you're out there trying to make it and you want to, you know, get into comics, like, you know, kick those doors in, do whatever you have to do. You know, try not to resort to lying, but it did work for me. So yeah, and Eric Stevenson, who's the publisher at Image now, was the marketing director at Image at the time. And the first issue saw print, came out, was in stores, and it really did kind of catch on right off the bat, which was new for me because most everything I had done up to that point had been an absolutely abysmal, embarrassing failure. And so the fact that, you know, reorders were really high and sales on the subsequent issues were starting to spike up was a big deal. And he called and was like, oh, you know, congratulations, things are going well. And, you know, I read the first issue and, you know, it's really great. You know, really, really enjoying the story. And gotta tell you though, I didn't see any hints to this alien plot. You know, is there anything? Is there something I missed, or is that gonna come in later? And I just said, Eric, I lied to you guys. There's no aliens in this book. And he went, probably better for it. So that's and now I'm here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You know, the way you can avoid that is if you just make good products from the get-go.
Hi.
Hello.
I started reading the Walking Dead comic books last summer, and I just got caught up with them.
Were you in first grade?
Maybe. Yes. But so, anyways, first of all, I'd like to say rest in peace, Andrea.
Yeah.
Secondly,
big spoiler for people who are 3 years behind on the comic.
that was
Or
me
like
about
9
5 days
years
ago.
behind on the show.
But my question is, what was your inspiration for Princess?
For Princess. I mean, I hate to just say it so plainly, but I wanted to put someone in there that's kind of the anti-Negan. I wanted someone who like is actually cheerful and is actually nice and is, you know, fun and, you know, unlike Negan, she never utters any level of profanity and also like kind of talks like a kid. which I sometimes talk like a kid. It's kind of funny, but I don't know. I mean, and I also wanted to put someone in the book that is so odd that I was kind of showing how the characters are really suspicious of her from the get-go, and it kind of keeps them from getting to know her so much. But at every turn, she just kind of reveals that she's, actually just kind of a cool person. The book's been going on for so long, and we've introduced so many characters that are, psychotic and deadly and terrifying. I really wanted to kind of bring someone in that was like a little bit of a different flavor into the book.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be cool if she had like pink hair and a cool spear and, big goggles. I don't know. We wanted somebody that like looked weird.
Yeah, she's like a super colorful character.
Yeah,
I love
she's
her a lot.
super polarizing. Like some people are like, love this princess character. This is so awesome. Great job. Other people are like, well, leaving this book. This book sucks now. And that's fine. We've got plenty of readers.
So it's safe to assume you're pretty familiar with Walking Dead, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
I mean, you'd be surprised.
So out of all the fan theories out there, the one I'm most interested in is what's the possibility of Breaking Bad and Walking Dead sharing the same universe?
100% confirmed.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Nothing else needs to be said. Watch Better Call Saul season 4. So, yeah. Really, me and Vince Gilligan been working real hard on some pretty surprising things. We're actually going to start the zombie apocalypse in the Breaking Bad prequel, which is going to make Breaking Bad super weird. Yeah. It's going to be great.
It's good to hear.
Hey, Robert.
Hey.
As a creator and as a writer, have you ever had any times where you felt like a loss of confidence or self-doubt? And if so, what did you do to recover from that?
Every minute of every day and intense denial. No, I mean, I don't know. I turned in a script for Walking Dead recently. I'm not going to say which issue. And I was like, Jesus, I should rewrite that entire issue. Like, I am not happy with this issue. I feel like I've really flubbed this one. And Charlie got the script, and I don't often send scripts to artists and get kind of nervous, like, oh man, they're gonna write back and be like, what is this, Robert? This is a big old pile of crap. But this one I was like, I didn't really like how I did this scene, and maybe this scene could have been better, and whatever. And then Charlie wrote and was like, man, this issue is great. And Charlie doesn't do that often. So I was like, well, geez, I just don't know anything. So I do very much operate on this assumption that like I have a natural level of, ability, meager as that may be, and I can try to make that better, but I don't really have an awareness of what the level of quality I'm doing is while I'm writing, so I just try to like have fun, do what I'm doing. I put in as much effort as I possibly can, but it's very easy for a writer to write 5 pages and then pour over those 5 pages and rewrite those 5 pages for the rest of their life. And that's something that would completely end my career. And so while I never, kick out a script and go, who cares, we'll see how that goes. I work on it as hard as I always do, but I always have this nagging feeling inside that, well, this is the one where they find me out, This is the one where they come to the house with the pitchforks and they say, no more writing for you, which is something that, I've convinced myself happens. But over the years, you just learn to ignore it. So, when you see, people out there that are on panels like this one, alone at a podium, rambling nonstop, and you're like, well, that guy figured it out. He didn't. He's just faking it. But seriously, I talk to, showrunners and screenwriters and everybody. We all think we suck. So that's why they give us awards. So we don't jump off bridges. Unfortunately, I don't have many awards.
Thank you.
Thanks. My family's nice to me, though, so it makes up for it. Go ahead.
Hey, thanks for being here.
I'm really going through some things.
So every time I pick up one of your books and I introduce it to a friend or a family member, one of the things...
Thank you for doing that.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that sticks out is that your characters are instantly relatable. And we only have more time to get to know those characters. So with developing Invincible as a 2.5-hour movie, what challenges have you faced in developing this movie and trying to make the character instantly relatable to us as well?
Well, I think you know, the lion's share of that work on the movie side of things is Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, and one of the reasons I'm excited to be working with them on the Invincible movie is just how infinitely relatable everybody is in all of their movies. Like, there's not one character in their movies that you don't go, I've thought that, or I've done that, or you know, we've all made that mistake, or you know, misspoken like that guy's misspoken, and you know, if you just go through their catalog, they produced this recent movie, Blockers, and they, you know, they didn't write it, they didn't direct it, but I can't remember the actor's name, so I shouldn't be talking about it, but you know, they produced that movie, and there's a scene in that movie that has like no business being in that movie because it's like so heartfelt and so touching, where this guy just goes on and on about his divorce and what happened to him and how it affected his life, and all of his friends stopped talking to him, and it turns into like this amazing comedic moment because everybody that's around him after he's done this like 4-minute tirade about how it completely destroyed his life and how depressed he was, everyone just goes, yeah, okay, cool, and then they like walk away, and you're like, oh God, they're not gonna react at all. But like for that moment, you're like, oh my God, like this is that's just such a beautiful moment, and knowing that, you know, they oversaw that movie, and you know, they've done that kind of thing, and you know, all of their other work tells me that it's in good hands. And so as far as the relatability of the characters in the Invincible movie, I don't think you guys have anything to worry about.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Great. And then when the movie comes out and everybody praises it, I'll take credit.
I actually have 2 questions for you.
Please, you can have 3 if you want.
Okay. Forgive me, I've never read any of the Walking Dead books. I've only started off on this show. With Daryl being as popular as he is, have you ever thought about bringing him into the books?
I mean, sure, but it's not something I ever really would do. You know, there are legal ramifications to that, and it's a little, you know, difficult. Norman Reedus with his likeness rights and all that stuff, and that guy is such a prima donna these days. But I just hope if he sees this, he knows I'm joking. But yeah, I mean, I love the fact that there is something you can only, if you read the comics, there would be an absence of Daryl, and I feel like that adds to the mystery of the comic and makes the comic unique in a way that makes it more appealing. And I think that if you're a big fan of the comics, when you watch the show, the fact that Daryl Dixon is running around doing cool stuff as this catalyst that changes the stories in kind of a cool, fundamental way, it makes that experience additive. And so, you know, same with the Telltale video games, where that's the only place where you can get Clementine. Like, I want there to be something unique about every iteration of The Walking Dead, so that you're not just watching, you know, you're not just watching like some version of the same story over and over and over again.
Okay. And the second question is, are we ever going to find out how this thing started?
No. I told my daughter the other day, though. Because she's 9, and she was like, how did you take it? How'd the zombies get in Walking Dead? And I was like, yeah, I know, but I don't tell people. And she was like, well, why don't you tell me? And I was like, I will, but it sounds stupid. And she was like, just tell me. And I said, you can't tell your friends. And she was like, but I will. And I was like, seriously, you can't tell your friends. I said, I don't want this getting out. And she was like, all right, I won't tell my friends. And I could tell she was kind of lying, but she's 9, so maybe she'll forget. And so I told her, and she was like, all right, I'm gonna go play now. It had no effect on her whatsoever. But I know, and there's like a story to it, but I just feel like telling that story would like fundamentally change your view of The Walking Dead, and you know, I've already said too much. But anyway, there's basically this giant spaceship that's buried under the earth, and you know, there are hints like Maggie's long pregnancy that like tell you, you know, there's something going on that's a little weird, but you know, when my career's in the toilet, I'll do a prequel series. How'd that spaceship get underground? It'll be great.
All right, hey, sir, just interested to hear what your creative process is. Are you an early riser? Do you stay up late? Are you clacking away at a laptop at a Starbucks? Do you have a place that you go? Is it only you do your writing when your wife's telling you about her day? Or what's the, like, what's your process? Call back.
I get up early. I get up at 5 a.m. every day.
Damn.
Which, you go back 10 years and you tell me that, and I'd be like, what? Why would you do that? But I start my day. I watch a little news. I have a home office that I work in. I have the Skybound office is somewhat nearby in Los Angeles, and so I pop into there every now and then if I have like meetings or meetings or whatever the heck else you do at an office. But for the most part, I try to write, in my home office space, and but I'm not like some people that like, oh, I like to write in like a specific place. I've never worked in a Starbucks. I find that to be, I go to Starbucks sometimes, get a coffee, and I'm like, really just taking up that chair all day? Like, go somewhere. What are you doing? But no one's impressed that you're working on your screenplay. But everyone in LA is working on a screenplay. Come on. I work like I work best in an airplane. Honestly, like I've gotten behind schedule sometimes, and I've been like, maybe I should fly somewhere. Just something about being in the chair, and then I never buy the internet, so I'm like completely cut off, and I have no Wi-Fi or anything. And what I'm saying is I surf the net a lot when I'm writing. But yeah, I mean it's a fairly simple process. I don't know. I'm not going to reveal too much. Chicken bones. I use a lot of chicken bones. Like a turkey feather. Then I do things. But that's a voodoo joke. But yeah, I don't know. And then I don't usually work late. If I get really behind schedule, sometimes I'll put the kids to bed and I'll work from like 9 or 10 p.m. to midnight or whatever. But that's when I really want to die. So I'm like, God, what have I done? Why am I doing this? I should do less projects. But that hasn't happened very often. And mostly because the last few times it happened, I sat down at 10 p.m. to work and I was like, Robert, you're old. You're falling asleep. Why are you doing this? It's not. And then you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh no, I didn't get anything done. Oh God. And so then I just worked harder the next day. And so I try to avoid working at night.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
I don't buy into this write when you feel like you can write stuff like, oh, if the muse hits you at 3 a.m., then start working at 3 a.m. or, I don't know. You just make yourself write when you have to write, and then you'll eventually get used to it. That's how I feel.
Thank you.
No one cares. What's up?
Hey, I do have 3 questions if you got the time for it.
No, please do. I ask 5 questions.
All right.
There's literally no one in line behind you, so you have to fill up 18 minutes.
All right. Okay, so the beginning of Walking Dead, you brought a bunch of.
Unless the questions aren't good, and then I'm just going to make you sit down. But go ahead.
Fair enough.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so you brought some elements that I'm sure you're about the same age, and we all were inspired by Romero movies, and like that episode of The Guts, when like that drew me in because it's like it was so simple. How had no one ever brought that into the zombie world or zombie film? So where did you find? What were some of your early inspirations?
I mean, Romero, and Romero. That's where most of it came from. If I say it all 3 times like that, am I pronouncing it right? I don't know if it gets like kind of runs on. But yeah, I mean, the main inspiration of The Walking Dead is watching Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead, and going, I wish these hadn't ended. And like they set up those great characters in Dawn of the Dead, and then 2 of them survive and fly off in a helicopter, and I was like, I want to see where they go. Like, they had an experience in them all. They grew, they changed. Like, this world affected them, and I want to see, where they continue on. Which is to say that, The Walking Dead is just a big, dumb soap opera. I mean, I really just wanted to, watch people falling in love and fighting zombies and kissing and being sad and, making friends and breaking those friendships and then being sad and then being sad. I don't know. It's what I like to write. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much that's pretty much it. I don't know. I'm not gonna go into too much.
Sure. Okay. You said I know you're working with Seth Rogen on your Invincible. You've been following Preacher since season 1, of course, but original series. I love the story.
Sure.
I was ticked off episode 1 when he changed up the timeline completely.
You want me to call them?
Yeah, sure, please.
I'm not going to do that.
So
I don't have their number.
So I'm curious. When you collaborate with someone and they, I guess, are producing, how much control do you as a writer have over the content, over the direction of your show? I mean, like is your issue 1 going to be how the pilot's going to be, or do they come in and start just blowing things up, and then for the true fans they're like, hey, what the hell? This is not what we're accustomed to.
Don't like that term, true fans. I think everybody's a fan, whether you've been there for a week or a year or 2 months, whether you want something to be changed or not changed. I don't like this separating people from things. If I could just get on my soapbox for a minute and piss off half of the audience. But for the true fans, the only ones I care about, we're really going to make sure that, if you haven't been reading since first grade, I don't want you reading my stuff. But no, well, first of all, Seth and Evan are working on the movie, so it won't be an episode or anything like that. But as far as like how much control I have versus how much control they have, I mean, it's a collaboration. It's not a matter of, I want to do this, well, then you're not allowed. Like, there's not any kind of situation where that would arise. Like, there's any number of discussions before you hitch your wagon to somebody where you find out, like, what they like about the property, what they want to do with the property, like what things they, care deeply about, the kind of message they want to send with it. And it's that process where you have to kind of, get to know these people and like fall in love with what they're going to do with your creation. And from that point on, it's oh, I'm thinking about taking it this way, I'm thinking about doing that. And you talk about it and you work through it. But you don't do it if you don't want to see what their vision is. And to impede their vision would kind of defeat the whole process. And so, there's things that are going to be different. There's things that are going to be the same, but that's kind of the beauty of it, and that's what makes it the most fun for me. And I hope that the audience sees that, like, for instance, the Iron Man movie. Like, if you love Robert Downey Jr. and, Jon Favreau and everything that they did with that story, there's a significant amount of that is not in any of the comics.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing that ideally I would like out of the Invincible movie, where you go, oh, that's the best Invincible story I've ever seen. Like, that's what you want. And maybe that'll have a bunch of stuff from the comic. Maybe that'll have a little bit and some new things. I mean, we'll see. It's still very early on in the process. But whatever it is, it's going to be great, and it's going to have fucking flying dogs shooting lasers out of their eyes. So
nice.
Because that's what I want to do.
There you go.
It's going to be called Invincible the Dog.
Okay, last question. Well, I have more, but this will be my last one.
Cut it to 3. We got people getting impatient now.
Gotcha. Okay, so how is it in the show that people get surprised by a zombie that's, a foot away from them?
You were doing so well.
In deafening silence. It's complete silence, and then turn around.
Listen,
and
this spaceship that's under the ground, there's a low level frequency that is emanating from it at all times that is imperceptible
Gotcha.
by the human ear, but it does at times block minor sounds and things that you would hear from an approaching zombie, because you're just kind of used to hearing this white noise that kind of drowns everything out. And, it allows for zombies to sneak up on you even if they're like in water and stuff. It's crazy.
Nice. Thank you.
I'm really hanging on to this buried spaceship thing because it is coming in quite handy.
Hi, I'm a huge fan of Outcast on Cinemax.
Great.
I'm super excited to hear it's coming back.
Tomorrow night.
There's probably an alien spaceship explanation for why it took so long. I was just curious if
there is now.
Could talk about it.
Why it took so long?
Yeah.
There was just some restructuring at the corporate level of Cinemax where, they didn't air a lot of shows last year, where they just wanted to kind of rethink the things they were doing as a network. And, I don't know, I've probably already said too much, but it was a network Cinemax decision that was made far above my head. So yeah. That was riveting.
Just a quick
Watch
Walking
Strike Back.
Just a quick Walking Dead
Bezos?
question.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just wondering, are we ever going to see Heath again? And do you think anybody actually remembers who he is at this point?
Well, there's this spaceship. And Heath got trapped in it. But one of these days. Now, Corey Hawkins, who played Heath, very great actor, got busy on a lot of things. Different things happen. This is what happens in the world, and so I wouldn't want to spoil things. Like it's entirely possible that he could be coming back at some point, but we'll see.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, we have not forgotten Heath, and everyone will remember that character when he comes back. How dare you?
Hi, I have multiple questions, or 2 or 3.
Let's see how many.
My first question is, what is your favorite character that you have created in The Walking Dead?
In The Walking Dead?
Yes.
Princess? Does everybody believe that? I don't know. I mean, maybe Rick, maybe Carl. I don't really keep a log of I really love this character. I mean, the reason that book is fun to write is that there are days when I'm like, oh my God, Negan is my favorite character, when I'm writing that scene. And then, oh, I just love Michonne, when I'm writing that scene. It kind of bounces back and forth. I will say that Negan is the character I have intended to kill the most and then not killed. It has now happened more times than I will admit.
My second
I get so
question-
close and then I'm like, but wouldn't it be cool if he did this? Damn it. Yeah, he's going to find that spaceship one day.
My second question is, do you plan on a romance between Carl and Negan?
No. I think that would be illegal. I don't know. That's not...
Well, you could skip 10 years in the future.
It's Comic-Con, ladies and gentlemen.
My last question is, what is your favorite season of The Walking Dead so far?
My favorite season of The Walking Dead? It's tough. Definitely not 1. 1 might be my least favorite season. Can I say that publicly? I do like 7. I'm going to say 9 because you guys haven't seen it yet, but there's some cool stuff coming up in 9. I also did really like 5. 5 was cool.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Hi, Robert. I just wanted to come ask you a little bit about the characters. And did you get inspiration from any of them from people you knew in real life that you maybe drew from?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain personality tics and things like that I pick up from other people. There's not any specific oh, my grandpa's this guy or anything like that. A lot of people are amalgams of different people, or in the case of Axel in The Walking Dead, just a character trait from a human being I knew that I built a character around. It was just I knew this guy that would end every sentence with "you follow me," and I was like, well, I'll put that in a comic. So it literally has nothing else to do with that guy, but I did think that one speech thing was kind of funny.
Okay.
And it seemed to have worked out. People like that character.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Hi, this is gonna sound really crazy, but this morning I opened my wallet.
Don't let me down.
Trust me, you won't. I
This
found
is
out
mundane.
I had
angry.
$0 in my bank account.
Okay.
So what I decided to do is I snuck in here. So before I get kicked out of here, do you mind? If you could.
Are you
going to
stab me at the end of this?
Well,
because I'll probably survive because I got a lot of flesh around
I'm
the
sure I
important parts, but I'm still gonna be super mad.
I'm sure I got a limited time left in here before
One's
they get
paying
me out of
attention, man,
here.
you're
But
fine. He's joking. He's got 4 badges hanging around his neck. But anyway, what's going on here? You need some money? Are you okay?
Oh no, I'm good. I just I just want to see if I could get your autograph for something neat, and because I know I'm.
No, definitely not. How dare you? No, bring it on up. But no one else. This is the broke guy that snuck in. Have some compassion, ladies and gentlemen. At the very least, he's a good liar. You don't have anything? Oh, man. Here, I'll give you this. Keep in mind, if you ever want one of these, all you have to do is ask. No, I'm not signing that. Thanks. Now get out of here, you bum. How dare you work for a living? Write some comic books.
No, understand. Hi there. You mentioned a little earlier about having some instances where somebody wrote one of your scenes for a different media or whatnot, and in your opinion, improved it. Do you want to share about one or two of those, just to sort of say, hey, I like this, but I really like that better?
I think the relationship between, Carol as a character is infinitely better than anything I did with the character in the comics. And I would attribute a lot of that to Melissa McBride, the actress that plays her, because one of the coolest things about, I'm talking, she's not here. Don't need to, just don't applaud too much. But one of the great things about working in television is that when you're a television writer, there's a human being that actually has like a voice and inspires you to a certain extent. So you'll write a scene, and then you'll see how they play that scene, and you'll go, okay, so when I wrote that scene, I was thinking that they were upset and reacting this way, and that's why they said that that's why I wanted them to say the dialogue this way, but there was a strength to the way she said that dialogue that I didn't intend, but that's informing the way I see that character now, and so now I will write the character this way, and it kind of like brings the writers on board, you know, with where things are going to go, and it's a really cool process that's you know, something that, you know, artists always kind of plus things up. You know, when you write a story, I mean, I'm constantly half-assing a scene and going, I don't know, the artist will figure that out. So it does happen sometimes in comics, but it doesn't really translate in the same way. Like, you don't actually have someone embodying the individual characters the way that you do in television. So you know, it's kind of hard to compete with. But there's great stuff. I mean, there was a really great thing that Angela Kang wrote in the relationship between Glenn and Herschel when Glenn was starting his relationship with Maggie, and there's a scene where Herschel talks about when you know when the person is appropriate for your daughter or good enough for your daughter, and he gives them a watch and stuff, and that scene always like struck me as like one of my favorite things in the show, and I didn't get anywhere near that kind of emotionality. Is that how you say it? Like when I wrote any kind of interaction between Glenn and Herschel. And so there's things like that constantly throughout the show where I'm like, I could have pushed things a little bit more there. And then my ego makes me go, well, they had my comic to look at, so it's easy for them to look at what I already did and then take it a couple lines this way. But that's probably not the case. They're probably just better than me. So.
Thank you.
But they're not at this panel, are they? Nope. All me, baby.
Thank you. I love the answer.
Thank you. I love the answer, too, because I am great. I wasn't kidding. Go ahead.
Hi, Robert.
Hey.
So, let's try that again. So Maggie's Jetpack Baby.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
What kind of fuel...
By the way, we're doing a spin-off book called Maggie's Jetpack Baby.
What kind of fuel is she using? And
Flatulence, right? I mean, that's what babies use.
And Judith, if she was to transform, what would she transform into? Because we have a jetpack baby and
probably just a car. She would just transform into a big old car.
That or Shane.
I think I'm getting an idea for season 10 now, where Carl and Rick are trying to. That's not going to work. Carl's not in the show anymore. I flubbed up. Oh well. Anyway. Oh God. Awesome. I'm kidding. I'm fine.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
But the characters are in trouble. Judith turns into a car. They drive away. It's going to be great. All right. This, ladies and gentlemen, is our last question. No pressure. It has to be the single best question that has been asked today. Because it closes out the whole panel.
Oh, man. All right.
What do you got for me?
Well, I just wanted to know
Swear to God, if it's a who's my favorite whatever, I'm going to be very angry.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what your favorite ice cream is.
Oh, okay.
No.
Vanilla.
I was just
Not
wondering.
vanilla. What?
I was just wondering how long you think you would last in the Walking Dead universe.
Oh, come on. I've answered that thousands of times. Do one better. Do one better on the spot right now. Better question. Go. 1, 2, 3, go.
What is your favorite cereal? Okay.
I would last until all the Fruit Loops were gone.
Would you ever? Okay, one of the things I want to be honest with you right now. One of the things that
Now I'm totally into this panel running 10 minutes long. Go ahead.
I was always kind of annoyed about how like everyone's hair was always so wet on the show.
Yeah. Okay, stop. I'll answer that question and then we're out of here. It is super friggin' hot in Georgia. Everyone is sweating all the time, hence the wet hair. So that's what it is. Thank you, everybody. I got to wrap it up. It's been a lot of fun. I'm now going to run off stage before anyone tries to ask me for an autograph. Thank you so much. I love you all.